Coach, let's just start with New. How's he doing? And if you think he'll be available tomorrow.
He is probably not going to make it tomorrow. I don't know that for 100%. He is close enough, Jackson, to, I would say, do a field test prior to the game, because every day he gets up, he's a little bit better. But I mean, Sissoko's done really well. So there you have it.
Yeah, and then on Sissoko, just your impressions of his first performances and what you've gotten out of him on that left side of the center backs.
I mean, we were all talking earlier in the year about, surprise about Alex and, Shane, Brad, everybody being put in the right positions and the formation working and, all of that sort of stuff. Those were guys that we knew. We knew the staff. We didn't know Sissoko very well. We just brought him into preseason because he'd done well at Defiance. We'd watched a few games, but it wasn't like he was on everybody's radar to be signed. And so Jackson, he's been such a pleasant surprise. I mean, such a nice kid, hardworking. You know the story about how Will Bruin, got him on the team because they fighting in preseason. And then the guy does one better than that story, which is he starts his debut against Chicharito, and then he plays against RSL on short rest midweek, and they're a decent team, and he has a really, again, exceeded my expectations. And he's got another chance to, play well against a big rival in Vancouver. And, he's made the most of his chance.
Hi, Brian. I apologize if this was asked earlier, but wanted to ask about the heat advisory. I don't know if Alex had said something before the call started officially, but wanted to talk about that and then about the background. And I know y'all have experience even last summer playing in the high humidity in Orlando. But yeah, just wanted to know how that's going to impact y'all, what safety precautions y'all are taking that way.
Well, what I would say, Jada, is those people that don't believe in global warming, they need to, catch up on the news. As far as we are concerned, look, the operations people down at Lumen Field, I mean, they're experts. They do a really good job. They do all these studies. Obviously the Seahawks are in the same building, so they're on top of weather, rainy weather, cold weather, warm weather, hot weather. We played that game against RSL the other day, Jada, and by 6 o'clock, the field was in shade. I mean, it wasn't bad. I know the temperature is going to be a little hotter tomorrow than it was on Wednesday, but the fact of the matter is the operationals people are going to work on it. There's protocols in place. They have the little bulb thing that they check the humidity. If they need to take a water break, we'll take a water break. But I mean, that's about it. Our team is mentally strong. I always tell them you can't control the weather, the conditions of the field, blah, blah, blah. They'll deal with it. We'll be fine.
Coach, it seemed like against RSL, you guys were really able to contain them. They didn't really create a lot in the final third, aside from crosses that your center backs just seem to just be all over. You guys are not inviting those crosses, but how comforting is it to know that anytime that a cross comes in is almost like a missed possession for the opponents?
Yeah, well, it's a real good question, Nico, because Vancouver plays similar. I mean, Cavallini's a big target. They do like to cross balls. Having an extra center back in there obviously helps. So yeah, it's not something that we say, okay, teams, you can just go down the sides of the field and cross balls. I mean, Alex and Brad, one of their number one defensive responsibilities is blocking crosses. So, that's something we message as well. But yes, when you have Yaimar, when you have Shane, when you have AB, even Javi's okay in the air. I mean, when you have three center backs in there, it makes it more challenging for teams to, win those aerial duels inside your penalty box.
And moving on to Vancouver, I mean, the team has lost their last 5 games. They've conceded, I believe, 10 goals. How do you manage that in terms of the guys? You know, I mean, are you playing against a team that's just desperate for a win, or what's the conversation like with a team like this?
I asked Yaimar this story. I asked Yaimar this question earlier today in our team meeting, Nico. I had to, because he's been arguing with the referees, and I showed him arguing with the referees. And I said, Yaimar, your English is not that great. What are you saying to the referees? And I asked him if he knew what complacency was. And he didn't understand my English, or his English lessons aren't going that well. So Danny Leyva whispered in his ear, what the Spanish word for complacency was, because that's what I've messaged the team. All of the hard work from the LA Galaxy game and the RSL game would go to waste if we are complacent, or we're not concentrating, or we think Vancouver isn't going to be an easy opponent and we take a loss or play poorly. That is going to take away all the momentum that we built. And we built that momentum on the hard work that we've done. You can even take it back to this whole season. I mean, games like this are not easy because Vancouver is a rival. They're a proud team. They'll come, they'll fight. They don't have anything to lose. They can play as the underdogs. But we must, Nico, we must not lose our concentration or become complacent for this game tomorrow.
Hey, Coach, so when you have a streak going like this, no goals from open play, 900 minutes or whatever it's up to now, I was wondering, do you talk to the guys about stuff like that at all in a let's keep this going kind of way, or would you rather them not be thinking about it for fear of it getting into their heads or jinxing it? What's the coach's approach to that? Look,
it's going to happen. Ari, as good as we've been, at some point it's going to happen. So I don't message it that, oh, we're doing really great, keep it up, blah, blah, blah. I talk about what we try and accomplish. What are the defending tactics that we planned against RSL? I'll use the last game, for example. Okay, we were going to press higher up the field. We were going to limit their crossing, immediate chase, our active defending. We knew they had Krylak, who's a very talented player, Rusnak. We had individual players that we wanted to account for on their team. And so today, again, in the meeting, we went through what did we try and accomplish against RSL and what did we actually accomplish. And I think they did a good job of trying to do that. And those little details, get you through to that bigger conversation of not allowing a goal in the run of play. We would never start with that. Let me put it to you that way.
Brian, what kind of challenges does Vancouver present? I know they've lost 5 in a row, but they do have some dangerous players in their side. So what do you think will be the keys to this match?
Well, Vancouver's played different styles. They're not, he's not afraid to change lineups or formations during the course of games. Yes, he's got some good players. The new kid they got from New York, Cavallini's quality. They can play 4-4-2. I think they're going to get their new defender back for this game. They've got guys in the midfield that are decent. So, all around they're a good team. They just haven't found their form. They just, they're going against circumstances that we are blessed, lucky enough not to have to deal with. I mean, they're away from their homes. They're playing in RSL. I mean, it's not easy. Look at Toronto. They're struggling as well. I mean, the Canadian teams, it's just more challenging for them.
Brian, what have you made of Giao Paulo's performance so far this year?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Wednesday's game was his best game, Jeremiah. You guys got that right. He's been good all year, but Wednesday he was, and here's the reason why. Okay, you look at all of his passing stats and blah, 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 the forward passes, all that sort of stuff. His contributions to the mentality of the group when he wins a tackle, when he finds the pass, is it the right pass? he's smart enough to know to get guys involved in the right moments. His set piece delivery has been great. I mean, there's a lot of those little details. He wins more tackles than people might think for being a small guy. And so it's all of those little details that I love rather than, complete. I don't know, he touched the ball 111 times and made X amount of completions of the passing. I mean, that's basic stuff. Do a deeper dive. That was his best performance all year.
Ryan, with the games or with not conceding a goal in the run of play, you have had the penalties. Is that a concern?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Why not then?
A couple of them. Look, Jada, penalties are going to happen too. I mean, you don't want them to happen. I don't know, Alex. You can figure out what's our average penalties per year. I don't know what that is, but Jada, it's some of the penalties were a little soft. Some of them, are mistakes. Yes, sometimes handball. Whatever. Those happen. I'm not concerned about it. I just don't. I don't worry about it. If it was one player making a bunch of penalties, then I would be concerned. But because it's different people and different things, I'm not concerned.
We'll look up average penalties conceded in a general Sounder season. Schmetz, I don't have it off the top of my head. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we'll get it.
Jackson will get it right away. I know he's working hard on it.
Jackson's working hard on other things today. He's doing an official tourism video with the city of Tukwila that I saw. That's very nice, by the way, Jackson. Very cool for Teriyaki Fridays that he is now doing on behalf of KJR. I see you, Jackson. Great stuff.
Brian, I can tell Brian that the most you guys have given up in a season is 8. And you've given up 4 this year. If that.
We'll fact check that. But Jeremiah, thank you as always. You're on the spot. I want to give our friend north of the border, Har, a chance to get in here, politely having the hand raised. Har, it's great to see you. Go ahead and fire away.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, Brian, for taking the time to speak with us. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Fredy Montero. How has he kind of seamlessly fit back into the Sounders, and what has he brought on and off the pitch? I know he's got a couple of goals, a couple of starts. Do you envision him getting the start tomorrow against his former team? Thank you very much.
It would be a great storyline to give Fredy a start against his former team. But I can't give that out. Mark is a good coach. He's probably listening, so I'll refrain from that. But Fredy has come back seamlessly into our team. He knows Seattle very well. It was his home for a few years before he moved to his, European and other careers. We've always stayed in touch. He's always stayed in touch with Adrian Hanau, our owner. He was one of our first big signings. So that made it very easy for us to bring him back. He wanted to come back. We wanted Fredy. He's done very well soccer-wise as well. I mean, he comes on and he changes the game. He's a little different profile. We have Will and Raul up top, our 2 forwards, but he's a different profile than both of them. Some of the early games, he was really good when he came in because his passing was excellent. His forward passing, his decisive pass, they were all very good. So we're happy to have him back.
Just confirming that Jeremiah Oshan, as always, is spot on. 8 is the high watermark for penalties allowed in a Sounders FC MLS season in 2016, which, as we know, resulted in a favorable ending, as Brian can tell you about. Who would like to go next?
Can I kind of keep it on the Fredy tip here? How much of a personality-wise, though, how much has he changed, if at all?
He's still a practical joker, still likes to pull little pranks. He's good with all the young guys. I mean, he's the same, Jada. I mean, people change subtly over the years. I know I've changed differently over the year, but I'm still basically the same guy. He's happy to be home. What I would say, Jada, is he's happy to be home because this is his last stop in his soccer career. And, he's building a house and he's got a nice family and, he's done well in his soccer career, and he's, going to focus his last couple of years on helping us win another championship. and then become a, part of our community.
With him and Raul, one of the things that he had said, Fredy had said, was about having the leading goal scorer record as far as the franchise record. What kind of communication or dynamic do you see the two of them having, especially since they're both solid goal scorers?
Well, everybody likes playing with good players. So Raul, Fredy, Nico, Jordan, they all like playing with each other. All the guys enjoy playing with each other. I mean, the goal records are made to be broken. Some point Raul might catch Fredy, and then some point later, someone might catch Raul, and it just goes. I mean, somebody is going to take over my job and erase some of my records. That's just the way it works. Right now, Jada, we have a really, really close-knit locker room. I think it shows in the way we play. It shows that we've gone into the season with some challenges, with injuries to critical players on the team, and we have been able to overcome those circumstances because the team is together. They believe, they want to help each other. That's always something that I'm very keen on watching out for. And this year is very, very good.
Brian, on a separate note, in my last one here, how much time did you spend on the film room going over Raul Ruidíaz's Hand of God impersonation of Maradona?
Well, I can tell you, some of you might not know it because I really didn't know it either, but Ravi Ravameni, our data guy, put together, there's a song specific to Maradona's Hand of God. And so we took that song and did a highlight reel of the different angles of Raul hitting the ball into the goal with his own hand while that music was playing in the background. And every player on the team was cracking up. We were laughing so hard because Raul had a big smile on his face and, a little bit of, attention. And it was really kind of a good way to end our meeting on Thursday morning.
I'm sure you already talked about the weather, or if not, I'll ask the question anyhow. Special preparation for the hottest, I think it's the hottest game in the Lumen Field for the Sounders.
Very quickly, Jamie, we talked about it. The operations people at Lumen are very experienced. They have shade monitors, heat monitors, everything. We'll take a water break if needed. I think everything's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We feel safe. Let's put it that way. I feel safe. The player safety is always number one. Lumen Field will do a good job of keeping our players safe.
And another question is, because it's going to be an exhausting game. What about the subs? How's Josh Atencio doing, and all the players that made?
Yeah, Josh came on the other day, and he'll feature in the game. We do have a thin bench. I mean, we're missing some players, but we'll make some strategic changes, and then I have 5 subs as the game progresses.
Guys, other questions for Brian before we welcome in Shane O'Neill in a few minutes?
Well, just to go off of that, I mean, Brian, that means that there weren't any injuries or any kind of anything happened after the game on Wednesday. Everybody's available for selection.
No. Yes, Jada. No new injuries came. We all came out of Wednesday night's game. Okay.
On that same note, is Nuhu any closer to fitness?
He is closer. We went over that one, Jeremiah. He's to the point where we might do a fitness test with him tomorrow morning just to see if he can make it. Every day he's gotten a little bit better. His adductor feels a little bit better. So we'll see.
Coach, we talked about A.B. Sissoko and the job he's done there in that back three. How much is that also a credit to Shane O'Neill and the job he does in the middle, kind of be that kind of steady Eddie guy, locking down and helping out with leadership purposes?
Well, we talk a lot about, Fredy coming back and providing leadership, Nico, Zach Scott back in the day, providing leadership. I mean, Shane's in that same mold. He's a really nice guy, and happy to help, his teammates do better to help us win games. So he's an outstanding citizen. AB soaks all that in. Again, to Jada's point, our locker room's pretty darn tight, Jackson. They do a lot. They do a lot together. They work together. I mean, it's a really good group.